coach Trent Robinson has slammed Phil Gould as ridiculous for declaring Joseph Suaalii should be kicked out of the NRL after signing a mega deal with the rugby union. Take a look.
No, it's a ridiculous comment. You know, that was a guy that's looking after another club and, yeah, ridiculous comment to say about Joey and what he would do. He can stick to his turf and we'll stick to ours and how we want to deal with it. And it showed a fair bit of fear for me about another code. You know, lots of players sign a year out. Coaches go between rugby union and rugby league, but to come out against Joey as a 19-year-old showed a fair bit of fear about what the building is across the road for us. And like, I really like rugby union. You know, it's okay to say as a rugby league guy that you like the game. They've got an amazing international game, which is the World Cup every 4 years, is a huge attraction for players and for us to watch. You know, I enjoy watching it. The European game's strong, but the fact is we have the best rugby competition, league or union, in the world. We're going to have a great competition, always. And this is the pinnacle of any rugby competition in the world. So stay cool, relax. You know, we're going to produce players. And don't come out with fearful comments about other codes and all of that.
So Gus Gould, only a couple of days ago, he said to Suaalii, let him go. If he wants to go, let him go now and don't let the door hit you on the way out. Now his coach, Trent Robinson, has fired back quite severely.
Yeah, look, look. I didn't expect anything less from Trent Robinson in that instance. He's still got this season and next season to go coaching Suaalii, so he's got to keep him happy. He's got to keep the playing group happy. That said, I think there's a lot of merit to what Phil Gould said. The problem with Phil Gould's comments is he always wears two hats and you're never quite sure which one he's got on at the time. Trent Robinson's addressed that as Phil Gould, a Canterbury official. Is he looking to destabilise the Roosters? Because it could destabilise them if there was internal rumblings about Suaalii going and players were unhappy.
But did you see it as him trying to destabilise the Roosters?
No, in fairness to Gus,
I didn't, but you're never quite sure. I think part of it, probably, if that was a side effect, it wouldn't have worried him.
I didn't see it as that.
No,
myself.
I don't think
that was his main motivation.
I think he was doing it as a paid commentator. He's a paid television commentator. He's been asked for a view on Suaalii,
He's skirted that line a long time, though, Hoops. He skirted that line, and it suits him to go which way. A lot of club officials are not allowed to say certain things about referees, for example. Yeah, he's allowed to waltz straight into Channel 9 as a paid club official and say what he likes because he's got his Channel 9 hat on.
I think one of the most interesting elements of it is that you got two of the highest profile people in the game in Trent Robinson and Phil Gould, and there's a backstory that there is some friction here.
Well,
if you go back to, like, at the moment, there is genuine bad blood between the Sydney Roosters and
why doesn't Gus and
Trent... I think it goes back, if you go back to when Latrell Mitchell put that shot on Joey Manu and Joey Manu's face ended up with 3 metal plates in it, I think it goes back to then, and it goes back to comments
I think it goes back before then
that Gus made on his show at the time that the Roosters disagreed with.
All right, it didn't take long for Gus to return serve, with Gould doubling down on his comments and even suggesting the Roosters are privately hurting over Suaalii's defection.
Mistake me for someone who cares what he says. But he can only stick up for his player, and he's got to build his relationship with the player because he's got him there for another 18 months. I fear nothing and I fear no one. So it's a competition between the codes. It's as simple as that. Can't get away from that fact. I don't care that Trent Robinson loves rugby. I don't love rugby. I don't even watch rugby. I think it's a kick in the guts for the Roosters. I really do. And I think they'll be quite upset about it. On the inside, what they say publicly means nothing to me. But I'm quite sure it'll be a kick in the guts for the people there that have nurtured him and brought him through at a young age. And so they can stand there and pontificate at a press conference and shoot the messenger, but the messenger didn't do it. Joseph did.
Trent Robinson was very professional with his response to Gus. Obviously, he needs to stick up for Suaalii. He's his player. He's going to be there for the next 18 months. So, as you mentioned, it was no surprise that he did that. Now, Gus isn't wrong, though. The Roosters couldn't be happy with the decision.
They're not happy.
We know for a fact that they were blindsided by the decision.
Exactly.
So Gus is actually spot on there.
Yeah, look, there are elements within the Roosters club that aren't happy. They haven't come out and publicly expressed that, but everyone at the table has spoken to somebody who's unhappy about it, okay? and you out of respect to their privacy and their wishes for it to remain anonymous. But the fact is, he's right, and everyone around the game knows that. The other part too, which I think Phil Gould makes a valid point, is they're paying 1.6 for this kid, not untested, but he's untested at the elite level in rugby union. The development in rugby union is quite poor. To take them from 14 and 15-year-old kids into that 20, 21, 22-year age group. Rugby league is far superior in that element. And the fear is, and this is what Gould alluded to, which I tend to agree, the fear is with so much money in rugby union around the world, that they start to identify. Semi Radradra, for example, is sitting over there earning a couple $1 million a year now after cutting his teeth in rugby league. They come in, they learn the game at the young age in rugby league, and then rugby union just comes and picks the eyes out of them. At some point, the NRL is going to say, look, we're not going to be a recruitment ground for rugby union. Now, I know not every player can do that. Okay, it's generally the outside backs that cross over. But by the same token, you don't want there to be incentive for rugby union to say, OK, you young kids, you go and play rugby league for 3-4 years in the junior systems and come into first grade NRL level, and when you're just ready to go, then we'll come and pick the eyes out of it.
How do you fix that, Kenty, though? How do you get to a point where...
Well, you fix it by saying to Suoli, right, mate, time to go. You've signed with rugby union. Right now, you can go.
I can't disagree more, because that will be an easy out for someone that's got an agitation. So you're quite happy for him to go. You're quite happy for our best players just to walk out on the game.
Well, how else are you going to stop them, though?
But you can't.
We've seen this radio
them.
before, though, Mick. We saw Israel Folau leave the game. We saw Semi Radradra leave the game.
And the
Rugby
fact is,
league
we haven't
is so rich in
missed them.
terms of its talent pool. There's going to be another superstar. They're already after Tolu Kola at Manly, so there will always be. There'll be another Joseph Suoli. He's only played a handful of NRL games.
You can't encourage players to break their contracts. That's what you're saying, Kenty. You're encouraging them to break their contracts.
The NRL should have a clause in their contract, like it was at one point for players to go and trial for the NFL, to even go and play rugby at one point years ago. There should be a clause that the minute you sign a rugby union contract, your NRL contract is null and void. Now, when you sign your rugby league contract, your NRL contract, that clause is in there. So you're accepting those terms.
Yeah, but that would be absurd, because then we're going to allow our best players. So Suoli, we've got 18 months more out of him, right? So you're quite happy for him to leave, bang, gone, out of the game right now.
I don't think the game misses. Look, we all fell over and grabbed our chests and so what are we going to do now that Sonny Bill's going to play rugby union?
No, but
the game survived.
That's not my point,
The game
You'll
will
be encouraging
survive.
players, say players falling out of love with a coach. Easy option, I'll just go play rugby union for 12 months, get out of my contract and go.
So you're saying it opens a can of worms.
For sure, it will. It would open a can of worms.
It's already opening a can of worms.
I disagree, Mick. How many times have we seen this? How many times have we seen this set of circumstances?
My point is that you're basically encouraging players to break their deals. So Suoli
you're
should
breaking
keep
your deal. The deal you sign when you sign the contract
a
has a clause saying if you sign to play rugby union, you are immediately dispelled from the game.
So you want Suoli to keep it a secret? Don't officially. Everyone knew. Say you knew he was going to rugby.
It kept a secret. It'll get out somewhere.
They have a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We won't sign the official deal until the end of the 2024 season.
There's no doubt that'll happen, right?
So,
Mick,
you can't have that.
But the other fair point you make.
You can't have that at all.
No, that is a fair point. But the other part to it is this, and again, Gould said this, right? And I'm loath to keep quoting him.
This is amazing.
It's good to see you two getting along.
It's amazing.
But the fact is, for the next 18 months, Suoli, every part of his development will be constantly referenced alongside the fact he's about to leave the game and go to rugby union.
But we don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. We sit here and talk about the narrative.
Let's see if we can get agreement among the media that nobody will mention it, because that's like trying to herd cats. It just won't happen.
All right, after dealing with Gus, Trent Robinson continued to back Swaley, suggesting he has no doubts the rising star will return to Bondi.
I was, pretty cool about it. You know, that's obviously knew he was going to extend, and then his decision to move in 2025. You know, that's his decision, and it's I was pretty relaxed about knowing. I didn't think Joey was going to be sort of a 10-year player. You know, I thought he would often play for the Roosters, but I also knew his desire to play different levels, different sports. So, really supportive and, happy with the process from our point of view. I know he's a Rooster, so, and he's quite clear on that, but I also know he's a young guy that's got a desire on different things in life as well. he has also put himself in the spotlight by the way that he plays, just purely from his actions, but also the way that they've negotiated the contracts. He needs to talk about that and his desires at some point.
Roosters coach Trent Robinson, very confident that Swaliti is a Rooster, and after his stint with the rugby union, he will most definitely come back to the Roosters and nowhere else.
Well, so hang on, he's a Rooster and then he's a Wallaby.
Yeah, and then he's a Rooster again.
I like
And
what
a
Trent Robinson,
Waratah.
I like what he said. He's got to come in and own the decision, though. He can't hide behind a manager or his coach. He's got to front up and say, well, these are my reasons. And I can't begrudge him going. I don't see this being a huge issue for the game at all.
I don't think anyone begrudges him going. Or does anyone
No,
begrudge him
it's
going?
the timing,
Braith,
Braith, and it's the way that it's been done. He's signed with the Roosters until the end of 2024. Why did he have to go and sign with rugby union?
This was the contract the
now?
Roosters agreed to. The Roosters knew what they were getting into when they signed him originally.
They did assume there would be a courtesy that they would be
I'm not doubting
privy
that,
to any negotiations with Rugby Australia, which they're not. They were kept out of. Nick Politis did not know about it. Who's the mover and shaker at the Roosters, who did not know about it until the deal was done.
Is that what Trent's alluding to? Come out and own the decision.
Well, I hope
Absolutely,
so.
he is.
But the
I
other
think he's
part,
also having a crack at the people who have gone and done it in a clandestine fashion, and they haven't been transparent about it when he's still got a contract for another 18 months. And he's not on chicken feed. He's on $700,000 a year. Most 19-year-olds would walk across broken glass to earn that much dough.
Kenty, who's this rugby union boss that's labelling rugby league thugs?
Oh, look, he's a chairman. I've never heard of him before last week, but I'll tell you what, he's got a little bit of an issue, this bloke. He's driven by ego, and he continues to talk about rugby league, I think, like, all this bullshit you carry on with about, good on the rugby people, good on you playing an Eastern Seaboard game, we travel the world. Well, good luck to you, you know what I mean? Fact is, this is where we do live. You know, if you lived overseas, go and play rugby union. It's the biggest code over there. But to come out and continually, this whole Suaalii signing is leveraging rugby league's popularity. So don't try and then shitpot rugby league and call it a small game and all the rest of it. The fact is, the athletes are better, as Trent Robinson said today. Of any rugby code, league or union anywhere in the world, this is the premier competition. That's the fact. Okay, that's why they come in. That's why they admire the way these guys play football. And this spiv just sits there trying to get a little bit of publicity off rugby league. I just think, look, the sooner he can shut up, the better for everybody. Like, come out and he called rugby league people thugs today because they weren't happy with the way this deal was done. He was the one that did the little clandestine deal and didn't want rugby league to know what was going on. Like, come on, grow up and be a man about it.